Okay, hey guys, welcome to Nullsec 101 and an intro to Brave. I will be your FC for this fleet. I am Max Dawntreader. I've been with Brave for going on 2.5 years. I've been Dojo going for 2 now. Um, Brave's a really cool place. It's a good place to be as someone new to the game, and even when you move beyond that, it has really good people, really good motto of have fun, stay classy, be brave. It's just a great environment, gives you a lot of opportunity to do some really cool things. So glad you're here. Glad you're on fleet. Uh, Hold on a second. Someone's messaging me. Sorry about that. But yeah, no, glad you guys are here. If you aren't aware, Brave has the dojo, has a lot of really cool programs for new bros, or really anyone in need. You know, we all suffer some hard latches, uh, losses sometimes. So free ships, free skill books, all kinds of good stuff. If you don't know, it's in the message of the day of the fleet you got there, the dojo wiki, and I'll relink it as well. That'll link you to a lot of the resources that are available to you guys as Brave members through the dojo there. So good to know, get familiar with. One sec, people want me to send a follow-up ping. Ay, ay, ay. Anyway, um, yeah, so life in Nullsec. That's really what this class is all about. It's different than elsewhere in game. There's a lot of different mechanics. There's a lot of different things that you have to get used to doing that you may not do elsewhere. Um, One of those things is standing fleet. So you guys all found it your way into this fleet, which is great. Um, so you understand how to get in a fleet and everything. If you're not familiar with mechanics of fleets, they're really good for responses and organizing things. That's why we have a fleet for each region we own, impasse and catch, that we use for whenever you're doing any activity in the game. You should be a member of the standing fleet for that region you're in. So if you look in your fleet finder, I'm sure you can see yourself if you scroll down, there's a Brave Catch standing that's currently up somewhere, and a Brave Impasse standing. So you would join the requisite one for whichever region you're in. So why be in it? Well, we can respond to people when you are in that fleet. So if there's a threat, someone tackles you, or if you're hunting someone down and need help, what generally is done is someone will put W's, the letters W's, in fleet. And then people can warp to you, which is nice. So why don't we're going to go ahead and undock from Soda and GE. And we're just going to do a practice response because why not? Get out, stretch the old spaceship a little bit. So everyone get undocked. Any old frig will do.
FC, I don't have a ship yet.
Docking request
Well,
accepted.
if anyone is in need of a ship, dock back up or be in Soda Factory and GE, and you can trade me, Dawntreader Dojo.
Just anything Caldari, please.
I can do that.
Phoenix is Caldari.
It is. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. So let's undock in our newly handed out ships that aren't Phoenixes.
Aw, shucks.
And I'm going to warp off, put W's, and you guys can right-click my name in the fleet window when I type the W's and can click warp to fleet member.
Warp drive active.
So there you go, W's in fleet, right-click his name and warp. And that's generally the response you're going to hear in standing fleet. If someone puts those W's, you notice it, or if you're the first to notice it, call out in comms. W's in fleet, come on guys. And that's it, yep, warp to the person. Normally there will be a threat, but it may also be because you're trying to group together to do something, or someone's providing a warp in to an objective. So they may ask for letters in fleet, and then you warp to letters. Something to know. So another important thing about being in standing fleet is to be on comms. It's important to do this because, and while we're at it, why don't we go, let's warp ourselves back to the soda factory undock, guys.
Warp drive
But you want to be on
active.
comms. You don't have to say anything, but it's important that you're there when you can to hear live intel as it's happening, so you can respond to know to get off the field if you're mining or if there's a fleet right around the corner that you don't want to warp into. Just to hear that out, or if, maybe there's PvP going on and you want to join in. You're not going to know that necessarily if all you have is the fleet chat window open. So definitely be in comms. With that comes comms etiquette. There's a few things to know. We don't have a whole lot of rules. It's not crazy. The first and foremost is stay classy. It's a pretty simple rule. It's the biggest and just about only one in Brave. No one wants to hear anything unclassy, and I'll give you the boot, so don't do it. There's also standing comms versus combat comms, and it often can flip between the two based on if a fleet shows up. That's the point of standing fleet. If you log in, you hear it's either quiet or people are just shooting the shit about whatever, go for it. Talk all you want. It's fine. But the second combat happens, or if you hop into comms and combat is going on, let it play out. If you have questions that are immediately, adjacent to the combat, like where is the fleet or what have you, ask it. If you don't get a response, type in the fleet window. People may be trying to coordinate combat, and it chatter over that really isn't great if we can help it. Any other time, let it flow. Talk everyone's ears off if you want. Another thing about comm etiquette is check. So if there is conversation going on and someone finds something, someone gets tackled, someone sees W's in fleet, speak up and say check until people shut up. That's what that's meant to do. So if you hear check, stop talking, listen to the person who has intel, or if there's W's or something going on. It generally means this requires urgent attention. Please be quiet. Additionally, one last important comms etiquette thing. Please do not give out blue intel on comms or in the fleet chat window. What do I mean by blue intel? Well, blue generally denotes a friendly entity. So if you see a big cap, or a Titan, or someone's ratting in a expensive ship, it might be really cool, might be awesome to see it. But there can be spies in comms who aren't in that system and don't know that. And it's not fair to other people that we go spilling those beans. So please, whenever possible, try to avoid giving out free intel to our enemies about our big shiny toys. So one of the things that's important really anywhere in Eve, but especially in Nullsec, would be to have a non-default overview. This makes it easier to see neutrals and sort out unneeded clutter in that giant list of everything that CCP gives you when you first load Eve. One that we like to recommend and that I like using is ZTAC-S, which I will link for you. So that's the channel that you can join, and you can load the overview packs and overlays, and it will arrange it into nice tabs with things like combat, friendlies, warp out, travel. That gets rid of things that aren't pertinent to those specifically. Highly recommend you do that before you try undertaking any PvP or doing anything in standing fleet or going on any ops. And especially because it makes it easier to see other capsuleers out there that are your enemies, and that often can mean the difference between life and death if you aren't paying attention. Every second extra you can see a threat is a second extra you have to get out or respond. Speaking of threats, some of the biggest ones can come just from traveling in Null. Uh, it's good to know where you are and how to orient yourself. One of the things I recommend to people when they first join is to look at an out-of-game mapping tool, because the in-game mapping tool is, quite frankly, hot garbage. We all know that. It is not intuitive to use. It likes to try and do it in 3D, and you have to find an option to flatten it, and even then it's a little bit of a mess. One of the ones that I and many others like to use is called Dotlan. I will link that for you. Boggle also linked Sentinel, please ignore. That is an intel map that you can use as well. It has live intel from people that add things to our intel channels. It can also be useful. Yes, I don't know that it ever did actually follow you. Sentinel will if you use Sentinel. So you can try that out, see if you like it. Either one would be great for familiarizing yourself with what space is ours and our allies, so when people start calling out certain names, you know generally which way do I need to go to get to a system that's 2 away. Because it might not be one. Like, people might say, oh, I think they're headed up the impasse pipe. Well, where is that? Well, AX dot mux E1 heading towards impasse and our space there. Just so browsing a map out of game can sometimes just be more familiar. It's helpful, useful, can make more sense of the chatter that goes on sometimes. Speaking of traveling, we're going to go do a little bit. I'm going to fleet warp us to Victor Tech 3. So everyone take this fleet warp.
Drive active.
Yeah, I'm going to get to Ansiplexes near the end there, Boggle. Don't you worry. Oh, no, hey, I appreciate the links. Excellent. You guys are doing great. And I apologize if I do miss something or this doesn't cover quite everything. I've done plenty and I've taught classes before, but surprisingly enough, have never actually taught a Intro to Null class. So first one of these. Okay, and once we're all on this gate, guys, go ahead and jump through into Victor Tech 3. If you zoom out and look below the gate, you will see an interdiction bubble just also commonly known as a bubble. These are a danger that's unique to Nullsec. What happens is they can drag you in and out of warp or stop you from warping off. I'm going to give us a practical example of that in a second and show you how to avoid them. Enemies use them just like our allies here are doing to catch people traveling through their space, make it so they can't get away, and then of course they can kill you because hey, easy PvP is the best, right? So we're going to warp off and we're going to pretend like we're warping in and don't know the bubble's there. So we're going to take a fleet warp.
Warp drive active.
So how these work is if it is in line between where you're warping from and your destination where you're warping to, and it's within 500 kilometers of where you're warping to, it can pull you out of warp early or later, dragging you into the bubble or stopping you before your destination, making it so it's very hard for you to get away. So now we're going to go warp back to the GE gate like the bubble's not there.
Apostle just jumped into us.
It's a heron.
Yeah, I want it.
Yeah, you go for it.
Chase
Guys,
us. Let's go. Chase it.
I jump into BTEC 3.
Jump.
No. It's gonna warp into the bubble. We can kill it.
Oh, well, excellent. Perfect. Then
I'm
take
going
fleet
for
warp.
tackle.
Warp drive active.
We're going to land in the bubble, and we're going to see an example of how it would kill an enemy firsthand. Hopefully get some of you guys on a kill mail.
Point. It's dead.
Ah. Well, it died. Lock up the capsule, guys. Lock up the capsule if you can.
Point pod. Bolt got it.
Ah, almost. But you see how we
Oh.
didn't land at the gate, guys? Instead, we're in the bubble? That's because it's set up to be in line to catch anyone warping from Bravo TAC 3 to the GE gate. So we got to burn out of this now. So if you hit approach on the GE TAC gate or double click in space to the nearest point out, turn on your prop mod so you're not taking forever. That'd be your micro warp drive. Okay, excellent. So we're all out of it, so I'm going to warp us off again, and we're going to try and do the same exact thing, but this time we're going to change it up so it doesn't catch us. So we're going to fleet warp to Bravo TAC 3.
Warp drive active.
I saw some of you bumping off the gate. If you are having trouble, get yourself out of the gate, double click in space away from it, and warp yourself to Bravo TAC 3 yourself. Okay. So remember when I said it has to be in line with your destination? Well, if you suspect there's a bubble, and honestly, in Null, you should always suspect a bubble unless it's extremely friendly space, and you know what's there by being on comms, you can warp off to a celestial, like the sun, a moon, an asteroid belt, and then to the gate. And generally speaking, that's going to be out of line with the gate to gate, and then it won't catch you. So we're going to do that now. We're going to cheat a little bit, though, and we're going to use their Astra House that's right there. So we're going to take Fleet Warp.
Warp drive active.
Did any of you get tackled by that malediction?
Yeah, the malediction was something else was trying to get me on the gate.
Did we all survive? We here?
Well, I crashed the gate and jumped to Bravo Tag 3.
All right, find a structure there and dock up because it looks like we're getting a fleet coming through. Victor Tech 3 guys, we're going to warp to GE Tech Gate. I'll fleet warp us. Nope, because now the malediction's there. So we're going to stay here on tether. Dock up for me, actually. Let's
Docking
let's
request
not lose
accepted.
anyone on an intro fleet.
Sounds like a learning experience.
Well, I don't have intel open on this tune. Alexis, do you? Do you know what they got coming through?
No idea.
I mean, Intel said plus 20, so that's a lot.
Yeah, that wouldn't
Too
be
much
fun.
for us.
Yeah, that's not fun. We'll dock up here. We'll wait for him to pass. And I can continue just talking. That was the practical part I wanted to get out of the way there. If you warp to out of line like we did to this Astra house and then to the gate, the bubble's not going to catch you. It's important to note that if you're traveling around Victor Tech 3, our allies bold here pretty much always have a bubble up. So especially in Victor Tech 3, expect it. It's just a fact of life. There are also ships called interceptors, like that malediction that was chasing us. They are nullified, meaning that bubbles are not affected or don't affect them. So you can train those up. It requires one of your racial frigate skills to 5 and a few others. And whiz around Nullsec, much safer. Dojo even has a free taxi handout program to people for your first one. Check it out on the Dojo Wiki. Highly recommend.
Oh, that's a Caracal fleet.
Yikes. So also about getting around Nullsec, we have Ansiblex gates. That's player-built gates. We have a vast network connecting systems that are chosen by the players, and they can shave off a whole lot of time. So if you look in Fleet, there's the Blue Donut Planner that I will relink down there. That tool shows all of Legacy Coalition, which we are a part of, their player-built Stargates, and will plan a route for you in-game that is much shorter between most of our popular destinations, including from our staging in Catch here in GE to our PZMA staging in Impasse. It shaves it, it cuts it about in half, I think, and as well as other important legacy systems. At this point, that covers a lot of the basics of what you need to do to survive, what is different about other parts of the game. Does anyone have any questions at this point? All right. Hey, nope is good. Hopefully that means I'm hitting all the marks here and being clear. So moving right along. When you move out to Null, one of the biggest things you get is, well, what now? Well, and exactly, what now? What do you like? What have you tried? Eve is a big game, Brave is a big alliance. We got a lot of people who know a lot of things. We got a lot of programs to help you get into a lot of things. We've got really good space to do a lot of activities. We've got corporations that specialize in all kinds of stuff, wormhole space, faction warfare, even now we have a high-sec branch if you wanted to go back, ironically enough. So what to do? Well, you can try Explo. We give out free Explo ships, and there are tools like DeepSafe that help you explore as a group. Catch is one of the best regions in the game for relic loot. Those intact armor plates you can get are excellent. You can get rich very quick. If you haven't done it before, like I said, I recommend it. It's great for new bros. It is very random number generated or RNG based. So some days you get nothing. Other days you can make 300 million ISK in 20 minutes. I'll link DeepSafe here. I think I have that linked. If you're going to be exploring on our space, I highly recommend using that tool. Other explorers throughout our coalition use it, and they will list sites that they scan down that aren't relic sites so that you don't have to also scan them down. It saves everyone time and ultimately makes more relic sites respawn faster because they are getting done faster because we're not wasting time doing other sites. So if you're going to explore, highly recommend DeepSafe, linked in Fleet. Use it. It's really great.
Should we use DeepSafe instead of the wormholes channel in the Voltron? Or is the wormholes channel in Voltron just for wormholes and not for listing combat sites and other things?
Yeah, wormhole channels are usually just for reporting wormholes so that they can get rolled in ratting pockets.
Gotcha.
Those are generally what those are for.
How's
If you're
deep?
Sorry?
I'm sorry. How's DeepSafe different than Pathfinder?
Excellent. I was actually just about to touch on that. So there is the other tool, Pathfinder. That's generally preferred to be used when you're actually going to go diving down a wormhole chain, like you're going to spend a lot of time in wormholes, because it's great for mapping them. DeepSafe is not meant, like it doesn't do mapping, so it'll follow you around. It has a map on it, but it doesn't show a connection to a wormhole if you enter it. Like that, it almost breaks the map. So it's really not super useful for diving into wormholes, whereas Pathfinder maps and shows where the wormhole connected back to known space. It'll follow you down a chain of wormholes and map the connections to each one. Plus, it will list any anomalies or signatures that people scan down and put in there as well. So it has a lot of the same functionality. DeepSafe is just good to use when you're not going down there because it's a lot more simplistic, a lot more to the point of what it's doing. Both are great tools though, and I would recommend at least getting vaguely familiar with both. Another thing you can do, if it floats your boat, is mining. We have some really great setups in Impasse with lots of people providing great boosts and great just groups of people to do it with in our Impasse pockets. There's also moon mining, which can be extremely lucrative even if you're just in a venture. Can't recommend that enough either. Not the most engaging gameplay, but you can reach 100 mil an hour in a procurer without boosts on a really good moon. We have a timer board for it that everyone in the Alliance can see. There are public moons that are on that timer board that anyone can show up on and start mining. I'll link that for you. Exploration. Yes, in Catch, open season. Go anywhere. All our allies are allowed to explore in our space. We're allowed to explore in theirs. Outside of Catch, Impasse, Fathavolus, any other ally space, absolutely not. Brave space only. outside of catch. In catch, anywhere. Outside catch, just brave space. That's the rules. Enemy space, though, on the other hand, if you felt like going into Stain or Pravi or take a wormhole chain and you wind up on the other side of New Eden, go nuts. Whatever you want to do. Just not in friendly space that isn't brave. And then I linked the moon timer board there in Fleet. Like I said, that's great for making some quick ISK. You can build with it if you want, or of course you can sell. We have buyback programs, which I forgot to make a cool link for, so give me a sec.
I got you, FC.
Oh man, you beat me to it. Needed 2 more seconds, but thank you. Awesome. Well, I should do this more often. Have you guys? We're just going to group run this class. But yeah, no. So you can sell to any of those buybacks there. They have programs that you can paste a list of things into, and they'll give you a quote. If you like what they want to buy it from you for, boom, you just made a ton of ISK. They'll take a lot of other items too, other than moon ore. So check them out. What else to do? Well, hey, blowing ships up is fun. So how do you start doing PvP? Well, if you're on Slack, pings go out all the time in ping channels for fun fleets or strategic operations where you can join up and have an FC lead you about. You can also ping for one yourself if you're feeling rather brave. We have the ping tool that everyone can use. You can ping to fun fleets, try and get people with you. There's also always standing fleet that people come through. Like we just got docked up here in this fleet by goons coming through. Standing's going to respond. So being in those comms, that's how you know that the threat's there, that they're responding or chasing something, and that you can do that as well. Absolutely. You can join day one. If you need ships, talk to anyone in the Brave Dojo channel on Slack or in game. We will load you up with them. You'll have plenty and blow them up left and right. It's not about kill boards here. It's about having fun. Just try and learn with every explosion. That's how we all started. So day one, join up. If it's a strategic operation, a strat op, absolutely. Still, day one, welcome to join. We have a doctrines page, and it has support doctrines that you can fly tackle or you can fly EWAR, and that is extremely useful to every fleet, no matter what the objective is. We need guys to be scouting. And there he is. We got the hanger list right there. Boggle, you're on fire. But we've got all kinds of stuff that anyone can fly, and that you can train up to as well and have goals. So check that out. Try stocking some of those ships. Find one you like flying. Ask questions about how do I fly this. Anyone in standing fleet or on a strat op will be happy to do so. Might be a little short answers mid-combat, but don't be afraid to ask. Someone will answer, always. That's what we're about here in Brave. We have a lot of industry that goes on as well, if that floats your boat. Going deep diving into that, that's probably out of the purview of an intro. But you can check out, we got a lot of videos on the Brave Dojo YouTube channel you can check out about that. You can do importing of items from market hubs to stock our markets here, fill the holes, make tons of money. It really, the possibilities are endless. There's probably a billion things I'm leaving out, but it really is endless. I think that wraps it up from me. I'd like to encourage you guys to try new things, to push yourselves, to keep trying when you fail, because you're gonna. It's a rough game at the start and even the middle and sometimes the end. So don't get discouraged. We're all here as a community to do better and have fun and be brave. Does anyone have any questions?
It's a good question in Fleet.
There sure is. So when there aren't things on market, we don't usually do contracts here. It's almost entirely on market. If you need a ship, if it's a beginner ship, destroyers, frigs, like I said, the Brave Dojo chat channel in game or on Slack, or even just speak up and mumble. If someone with dojo tags is on, we will happily give you ships for free. If it's doctrine stuff's missing, you can yell in the Indie Bros public channel in Slack that, hey, this item is a not dojo, is a doctrine item and it is missing. And someone will get it imported, or you can import it yourself or produce it yourself. Like I said, we got a lot of cool videos on the YouTube channel that talk about that. Yours truly actually teaches several importing classes on there. Check them out. Also, we are kind of still in the middle of moving, especially in GE, between the Soda Factory and Mothership Bellicose the Keepstar as our staging. People are kind of halfway between moving all their stock of market items between the two. So it might be a little touch and go for a bit while that still happens. Anyone else? Any questions at all? Anything I talked about? Anything you're curious about, you've heard about? All right. Well, I think that's going to do it. I am going to say we'll undock here and we'll kind of go as a group, see if we can't get through whatever's in GE. They pinged a response fleet to deal with the goons, so maybe we'll die in a fire in the end here. Who knows? 'Tis the brave way after all. So we're going to fleet warp to GE gate.
Warp drive active.
Is there an intro to Fleets class?
I am planning on doing one very soon. I have run out of time for the night, but very soon I'm going to do one because there is stuff that you need to know. Guys, go ahead and jump into GE. Let's do it. Also, thank you again, Boggle. I really appreciate the help. That was so awesome of you to be on the links. Alexis, you too, with getting tackle and being here to support. Sorry we didn't get to let you show off your new Titan bridge.
Dang it. Ah, well.
And we're going to fleet warp to the Keepstar, guys, and we're going to stand down. Thank you so much for coming. I hope it helped.
Yeah, much appreciated.
And sorry you disconnected in the middle now, so I got your Slack message, but if you have any questions about the middle of it, we're going to have the video up, but feel free to ask in Dojo, ping me on Slack directly, whatever you need, man. All right, guys, dock up or go join Standing Fleet. Have fun out there.